Welcome back to Dock Tank Summer once again. It is time for the third episode of the series to begin, and we're going to be covering the one and only Crazy Bartholomew. Crazy Bartholomew is arguably the most niche, overlooked, and unknown characters to have ever graced the Thomas Tank Engine franchise. It's pretty understandable we haven't heard of him at all, as he isn't even an official character. Matter of fact, he only briefly appeared in the background of the show Fast Forward. In one of its 1991 episodes, it featured a parody of Thomas, using the Ertl toys as models. Some of the characters in that parody were just repaints with custom faces. One of these repaints was a Thomas Ertl with a custom sad face painted in a flat yellow with blue wheels. He was referred to as
Crazy Bartholomew, the local locomotive.
He only had like one or two speaking lines across the handful of skits in Fast Forward, and in the end he wound up being melted down and turned into a 4-cylinder car in the final skit, while Thomas became a playground display. It was a very weird parody that is sort of dated in some ways. Regardless of this, I find the concept of an engine that could possibly be related to Thomas rather interesting. It's honestly kind of shocking that Audrey or any of the Thomas creators never touched on any of Thomas's family members, like his siblings and whatnot, considering Gordon has Flying Scotsman as a brother, and so on and so forth. So we'll never know what any of his siblings are like, if he even had any. But that's the beauty of headcanon. You can fill in the gaps with whatever you please. And here's mine for this character. Let's dive into Crazy Bartholomew's backstory in the Porterverse. The year is 1910. The Knapford and Ulfstead Railway rolls out all members of its house-built R46 class of tank engines. These mixed-traffic 060s were fairly small and compact, making them effective in shunting and tackling tight curves with trains. The members of this class were as follows. Number 1, Thomas. Number 2, Bluebell. Number 3, Estelle. And number 4, Leroy. These 4 worked on the KNUR for many years, and 2 of them are preserved today. For a good few years, these were the only 4 R46s built. That was until 1913, when a new member was built. Sort of. You see, in 1913, the Wilton and Sutter Railway's harbor at Brendam was expanding, and a dedicated shunter for the harbor became necessary. The WNSR commissioned the now renamed Knapford, Aldersborough and Ulfstead Railway, or the KANUR, to build a new member of its R46 class. However, with various modifications to increase its effectiveness in dockyard shunting. Solid skull disc drive wheels, sturdier frames, and a larger buffer beam on either side made this unofficial 5th R46 well equipped to handle the ever-growing workload at Brendam docks. The engine in question entered service in 1913 and was christened with the name Bartholomew upon entering service. You would think things would go smoothly after that, right?
Wrong!
Very quickly, Bartholomew gained a reputation for working very aggressively, bashing rolling stock and traveling at high speeds. It's quite a sight to behold, honestly. Most of the workers are shocked at his methods. Shockingly, he has also never caused injury to any dockyard workers, but derailments are fairly common. However, Bartholomew is quick to clean them up, usually immediately after one happens. He will rush out to find the cranes and everything to clean it up. That is, when he doesn't derail himself in the process. His handful of derailments over the years led into his face being covered with light scarring. Nothing too bad at first, but enough to be fairly noticeable. The reasons the Brendam Dock Board kept him on was because of a few reasons. Firstly, finding a new shunter equal to a strike during both war and depression times left the market in a shitstorm. Second reason is that the Brendam Dock Board was so broke that it couldn't even afford a new engine if they were to even find one. But third and most important of all, he was just that good of a worker. Over the years, Bartholomew proved himself the hard worker of the docks. Even during the most intense pileups at the docks, Bartholomew managed to get everything sorted out to where any projected delays were countered by how fast he worked on a day-to-day basis. That was why the Brenham Dock Board kept him on. They knew that any other engine would flounder at the docks, given the varying pressure settings. Because of all this, Bartholomew was dubbed crazy, not because of any clinical reasons, but in the sense that he doubts absolutely nothing and does not hesitate whatsoever. This holds especially true when accounting for various disasters. For instance, during the 1949 clay pits collapse, he was seen rescuing workers using empty plank wagons. He even pushed Bill and Ben when they got stuck. The craziest part of that whole ordeal was that wasn't even the last time he did something like this. He would prove himself a hero once again in 1955, when a fire broke out at Brenham Docks. Cranky and Crazy Bartholomew were left with severe scarring on their faces after this, and both of them needed false teeth in the end. Bartholomew received 6 gold teeth, while Cranky needed 14. Returning to service was a bit rough at first, but gradually over time, Cranky and Crazy Bartholomew returned to their normal selves. Since then, Bartholomew has helped in stopping a string of runaways and other mishaps with ease. His strength has proved himself prevalent time and time again over the years, and is happy with his life at the docks, and likes over than Cranky. To Crazy Bartholomew, shunting his life, and that is that. If you couldn't tell already, Crazy Bartholomew is a chaotic sort of character. He is fearless and absolutely crazy in a lot of ways. He has a history of derailments of his own doing, and an even longer history in helping out and also outright preventing other disasters. As stated before, he was documented helping rescue workers in the clay pits collapse and the Brenham Docks fire. He has also managed to catch runaways that make their way to the docks on occasion. Usually the training question is held by either Edward or Boko. Speaking of which, these are the two characters Bartholomew interacts with the most, as Edward and Boko are the main engine of the Brenham branch line. Bartholomew gets along with them pretty well. Imagine their dynamic being similar to Cyclops, Beast, and Wolverine in X-Men 97. Crazy Bartholomew also gets along with Bill and Ben of the Soda China Clay Pits. By design and designer alone, Crazy Bartholomew is effectively the half-brother with the two preserved R-46s, Thomas and Bluebell. He is technically of the same engine class and the same designer, but the modifications to the design led him to being classified as an R-46B, basically making him our #1 engine's half-brother. He does get along with the surviving siblings on most occasions. Thomas and Bluebell do think he is pretty nuts, but are aware that he does lock in when needed, so they don't mind being with him all that much. On the opposite side of the coin, Bartholomew is very grateful to have siblings like them and is very fond of them, and he loves talking with them whenever he gets a chance. Crazy Bartholomew is also good friends with Cranky. They both have scarrings from the Brenham fire and gold teeth, and they often talk about them on occasion, among other topics of discussion. Bartholomew is also a bit of a storyteller. His scars and gold teeth are often speaking points in conversations involving him. He really enjoys storytelling. He considers it one of his favorite things in the whole world. Overall, Crazy Bartholomew is a chaotic good sort of character, one who has a checkered history in a lot of things, but is powerful in both his physical strength and heart. So that was Crazy Bartholomew in the Porterverse, the first British-built engine of the series, and the second Solar Resident. I suppose I should give you all some updates regarding the channel's content going forward. As of recording this, we are very close to reaching 3,000 subscribers. I am very excited for this milestone, and would love to do something for the occasion. I just can't think of anything that I haven't done already at the moment, so feel free to leave a comment section what I should do. I am open to ideas. Porterverse Workbench, however, is expected to come back very soon, as a few models have already reached completion and are ready to be showcased. James, Duck, and Casel are already 100% complete, so expect once this Dark Tank Summer event ends, the first video to be some sort of part of our Workbench episode. I am very excited for this series to come back, and I cannot wait to show you guys what I've been working on for the last few months. That's all the updates for now. Now for the outro. Thank you all very much for watching this episode of Doc Tank Summer, and I shall see you all same time next week.